Dr. Harris had seen thousands of patients in his 20-year career. He had treated everything from battlefield injuries to rare genetic disorders. But that sunny Wednesday morning would remain etched in his memory forever as a living nightmare. When 10-year-old Emma and her father, Mark, walked into the clinic, they looked like an ordinary happy family at first glance. Mark played the role of the perfect father to perfection, polite, caring, and seemingly deeply concerned about his daughter's health. He explained that Emma had lost her appetite over the last few weeks, wasn't sleeping well, and complained of constant abdominal pain. However, Dr. Harris's medical intuition immediately signaled danger. When he looked into the girl's eyes, he didn't see the natural curiosity of a child. He saw a frozen, bottomless terror. Emma didn't utter a single word. Every time Mark spoke, she would flinch, drawing her shoulders inward and staring at the floor. When Mark placed a hand on her shoulder, Emma shuddered as if struck by an electric current. This wasn't just an illness. It was raw, agonizing fear. Dr. Harris noticed faint, old scars peeking from under her sleeve, which looked less like surgical marks and more like the remnants of a crude amateur experiment. When he left Mark in the hallway and took Emma into the examination room, the air in the room felt heavy. Emma remained silent, her eyes darting fearfully toward the air vents and the corners of the ceiling. She seemed convinced that the walls themselves had ears. Dr. Harris turned on the ultrasound machine and began to examine Emma's abdomen. Suddenly, the probe emitted a strange, sharp signal as it passed over a specific area. The image that appeared on the screen left Harris breathless. Inside Emma's body, embedded between the skin and the muscle tissue, was a complex metal object with visible microcircuitry. This wasn't a simple tracker. It was a remote-controlled device designed for mind monitoring and punishment. Investigation later revealed that this device was a secret prototype called Sentinel-X. It didn't just transmit GPS signals. It was designed so that if the girl spoke above a certain volume or said forbidden words like help or police, it would deliver a painful electric shock to her nervous system. Emma had been silent for 3 years because she was terrified of these shocks. She knew that every breath and every whisper she made was being recorded and transmitted directly to Mark's smartphone. Mark had systematically crushed the girl's will in this horrific manner. When Dr. Harris convinced Mark that an emergency surgery was necessary, Mark's suspicion grew. He paced the clinic hallway, eyes glued to his phone, monitoring Emma's heart rate through an app. On Viktor Graves's, Mark's, screen, Emma's stress levels were flashing red. If her heart rate spiked too high, Mark would realize something was wrong and could potentially trigger the device. Understanding this, Dr. Harris quickly administered a sedative to keep her vitals artificially low on the monitors. It was a high-stakes game of life and death, measured in seconds. The doctor was drenched in sweat. Any wrong move could cost the girl her life. In the operating room, the nurses and assistants worked in total silence, communicating only through gestures. Every movement felt like they were holding a thin thread between life and death. Meanwhile, the police were running a background check on Mark, whose real name was Viktor Graves. Graves was a former high-level military cybersecurity expert, fired for his psychological instability and cruelty. He was obsessed with a sick idea, seeing humans as biological machines that could be controlled. He had kidnapped Emma 3 years ago while she was playing in her front yard and kept her in a secret laboratory hidden beneath a suburban estate. As the police surrounded the clinic, Viktor Graves sensed something was wrong. He reached for a button on his phone, a command that would either release a lethal toxin or a high-voltage shock into the girl's body. At that exact microsecond, Dr. Harris successfully detached the device from Emma's body and dropped it into a lead-lined container designed to block all electromagnetic signals. Victor's screen flashed, "Connection lost." He fell into a blind rage and tried to storm the operating room, but a SWAT team tackled him to the ground. In his pocket, they found the torture control panel and horrifying videos of Emma that he had recorded but never sent to her parents. When Emma woke up, her first act was to take a deep, full breath. For the first time in 3 years, she felt her body belonged to her, and she knew no shock was coming. When her real parents arrived at the clinic, the entire hospital staff was moved to tears. Hearing her mother's voice, Emma whispered, "Mommy, can I talk now? Is he out of my head forever?" Those words tore Dr. Harris's heart apart. In 20 years of practice, he had never witnessed such modern-day depravity. During the investigation, police found photos of other children and blueprints for similar devices in Viktor's home. He had planned to create an entire army of silent slaves. Dr. Harris's vigilance had saved not only Emma, but potentially hundreds of other children. Today, Emma is a top university student, dreaming of becoming a specialist in fighting cybercrime to help others who face similar horrors. After years of therapy, she has finally put those dark days behind her. Viktor Graves was locked away in a maximum security psychiatric prison with no hope of parole. Dr. Harris went on to establish the Emma's Voice Foundation, which researches technological crimes against children. In every lecture to medical students, he says, "We must heal not only with a scalpel, but with compassion. A patient's silence is sometimes the loudest scream in the world." The truth was revealed. Emma is finally free. But this story remains a permanent warning about the cruelty of man and the dangers of unchecked technology.